So, what is doing done? The Antillean government has dealt with this matter in one certain fashion. You can only have 3 contracts, 3 extensions, and after 3 years, the contract has to either become permanent, etc. The Reuben government, years ago in its civil code, said no contracts. Now, what's it important for St. Martin? When St. Martin becomes a country, it is St. Martin going to decide, not a federal government, but St. Martin is going to decide how it's going to deal with this. Is it going to take, for instance, the Reuben example and say no contract whatsoever, which isn't all that positive, because you need to paint your house, and you have to go into some weird construction because the house is going to take 2 weeks to paint, and then the guy gone. He won't work for you forever. He just can paint your house. Now, if you have no provisions that he can take 2 weeks to paint the house, then what happens? He has to pretend that he ain't working for you either. So just cutting out the contract doesn't solve all of the problem. Okay? You have an employee, they're going on pregnancy leave, you need to hire another person until your employee come back. Now, the employee has her baby, comes back, and he says, oh, oops, I can't, this person here is stuck with him. No illogical. So, one hand you have an abuse situation where you keep constantly changing contracts, because what happens in our system now, we made it more difficult for the 6 months contract to operate. Now we have up to 3 extensions. But what the employers then do is, okay, the 3 extensions are passed, now I ain't employing you no more at all. And depending on the sector of business, there are more people looking for jobs anyway. So you got to now go look for a new employer, not the same one, because you don't have 3 years of work by one. So it's just as abusive as if you had that 6 months, 6 months, 6 months. All you do is stretch the time. But the solution, if there's to be a solution, now will be in country St. Martin. So the legislature of St. Martin, the parliament, will have to pass legislation to deal with that. Like I said, use the Aruba example, cut it out, or use the Antillean example to say, well, okay, this hasn't worked and I want to correct it, better it, do some other things. Well, I believe that you need more flexibility for the employer to hire and fire people. On the other hand, once you can establish abuse, the penalties involved, an employer has to understand that if I get rid of somebody just for whimsical reasons, I have to pay for it. And if any businessman don't want to get hit in the pocket. On the other hand, employees got to understand also they got to work. A lot of times people feel that I got a permanent contract and you can't tell me nothing and I don't come when I feel like. Now, you ain't going to fire a guy if he come to work 2 minutes late. But if in a month he got in sick 5 times, 6 times, you know he ain't really sick for true, and he comes to work 2 minutes past 8 every day, yeah, you ain't going to a court to pay a lawyer to fire somebody because they're constantly this. You know, I got employees that, 2 minutes to 5, they're on their mark. Boom, they disappear. They don't care whether they light on or not. We need to deal with that also, And employers got to understand, if you want a long-term business arrangement, it has to be that you can't treat the employee as a thief or a scum or, somebody that, you'd prefer not to have, all that. And a lot of employers make a lot of mistakes here in St. Martin, I noticed, by ethnic hiring, if you want to call it that, because, they don't trust the Antilleans or local people don't want to work for true. And you got to think, well, why one group works the other group too? The way you really scrutinize that particular group working, you see a lot of abuse. You see people having to live 5, 6 people sleeping in one room, eating out to one pot, and you say, hey, wait a minute, they work hard out there, but is it human to have that? You see, and again, to come back to country St. Martin each time, what's the big difference with now? Now, yeah, we could blame some minister, some parliament down the road for not doing this. 10, 10, 10, as of that date, it's going to be our problem. So we have to then decide how we're going to deal with these contracts, how we can deal with labor